Good evening. My name is Matthew Newman. I'm a program 4-H agent in Monmouth County. Welcome to tonight's information session for the New Jersey 4-H Scientific Hands-On Applied Knowledge Research Program, otherwise known as 4-H-S.H.A.R.K. So again, tonight's an information meeting. My name is Matt Newman. I'm a county 4-H agent, and it's great to have all of you here tonight. This session is being recorded, so if you do not want your image captured, please turn your cameras off. We are, as a 4-H program, we are part of Rutgers University. Our programs are open to all. We have an ambitious agenda here tonight. We have a lot of ground to cover, not so much time to cover, so I'm going to do my best to cover all the ground we can. So right off the bat, though, I just want to share with you, if you want, like all this that we have planned for the next hour or so, distilled into like a few words. The New Jersey 4-H-S.H.A.R.K program. It's 5 weeks of Zoom meetings, 4 days of field experience. There will be a debrief reunion / get together at the end when we're back in New Jersey after the program, where we'll also share our data jams. And I'll talk more about data jams here in just a little bit. The cost may be up to $2,000, and we'll explain, we're going to break down the costs here before the end of the night, and memories that will last a lifetime. And let's see here. So some housekeeping. I think at this point, we're all pretty well familiar and versed in Zoom. I do ask that you mute your devices unless you're speaking. That said, questions are encouraged. Please feel free to ask a question at any time. You can either raise your hand, you can unmute yourself, you can type in the chat box, and we'll call on you. So what is New Jersey 4-H-S.H.A.R.K? So what I want to do first is break down what the 4-H mission is, and then share some of the goals we have here in New Jersey 4-H. So 4-H, just as a whole, the idea, the philosophy, the mission of 4-H is to empower youth to reach their full potential, working and learning in partnership with caring adults. The mission of 4-H is to provide meaningful opportunities for all youth and adults to work together to create sustainable community change. It's accomplished with 3 primary content areas, which include civic engagement and leadership, healthy living, and science. Which science is one of the ones that we're really keyed in on for the S.H.A.R.K program, but we also do have healthy components of both civic engagement and leadership, as well as healthy living. Specifically in New Jersey, our goals through 4-H is to provide informal educational programs for youth in grades kindergarten through 13, which is the first year out of high school, encourage responsibility, community awareness, and character development in youth, strengthen skills for adults working with youth through publications and training, and to improve community partnerships and collaboration. So what is specifically New Jersey 4-H-S.H.A.R.K? That is, well, why in New Jersey, I guess? As you can see, there's a map of New Jersey right there. We are all living here in New Jersey. We are an ocean state. We have 127 miles of coastline along the Atlantic Ocean and 83 miles of shoreline along the Raritan and Delaware rivers. If there are young people that want to pursue careers in marine science, this is a quote that the employment outlook in this field is highly competitive. The supply of marine scientists far exceeds the demand, and the number of government jobs is limited. Other employers are local governments, aquariums or museums, colleges and universities, and private research laboratories or consulting firms. This is from NOAA. So that's the New Jersey situation, but why out of state? Because as we're going to learn here in just a little bit, the in-person component of this takes place actually off the coast of Florida in Biscayne Bay. Well, number one is just the opportunity. As far as I'm aware, as far as my co-chaperone Lisa's aware, which we'll do introductions here in just a little bit, this is, as far as we're aware, there's no other research vessel that provides the level of opportunity such as this to youth this age. It's a team building and a life skills experience. And one way you might want to think of it is it's the most intense camp ever on water. And then some of the feedback that we received from our 2022 program, so the program that took place here this past summer, this experience can give me a leg up on future careers. Knowledge on sharks is good for eco-consciousness. It's an amazing experience, 100% worth it. One of the most amazing educational experiences of my life. Thank you. I actually loved it. Even though it was exhausting, it was so much fun. I learned so much. And absolutely obsessed with shark pregnancies now. Like, I want to be a veterinarian obstetrician, but the pregnant bonnet heads made me crazy. Wonderful program. And we have some pictures here before the night's done. So our program objectives with S.H.A.R.K is to learn about the various environmental issues facing our oceans and its impact on megafauna, specifically sharks, develop an understanding about issues facing sharks, including shark finning, status of global shark populations, and the relationship between sharks and humans, to gain real-world experience in field research while working alongside actual marine scientists, to develop strategies to improve life skills such as decision-making, teamwork, and communication, and to explore STEM careers in marine biology with a focus on improving knowledge on what careers are available in the marine sciences. Our program goals. So after completing this program, our aim is that youth participants will share what they learned related to marine science topics addressed in the program, including what their level of understanding is they gained on issues facing the ocean, an understanding of relationships between sharks and humans, an understanding of career opportunities in marine sciences, and then also that they will develop a data jam showcasing their knowledge gained. And we're going to talk more about data jams here in just a little bit. So how did this thing start? It actually started, I'm the Monmouth County 4-H agent, and it was a club program here in Monmouth County. Started in the year, well, I guess technically started in 2018, but we did our practicum portion in 2019. And I know I see on my screen here, we do have some Monmouth County 4-Hers, so maybe you see some people that might look familiar. We then had plans in 2020 to send some New Jersey 4-Hers. I have some connections with Michigan 4-H, and so they heard of the successes that we had with our county-based club in 2019. They caught wind that I was developing a state-level program for 2020. They replicated it. This picture was taken in February of 2020. Now, all of us on our screen, I think we all know what happened in March of 2020. Our New Jersey 4-H kids were scheduled to go down in April of 2020, which, needless to say, that did not happen. However, I am very happy to report that I did, and Lisa did, we got all those 4-Hers down to Biscayne Bay onto research vessel Garvin in summer of 2022. And let's see here, I believe 7 out of the original 10 4-Hers who had signed up to participate in this program were able to be there on Garvin. 3 of them had different things go on in their life between spring of 2020 and then summer of 2022. We were able to identify 3 other 4-Hers to take their place, but we did make it down to Florida. So the chaperones, you've heard me talk here a lot tonight. My name is Matt Newman. I'm the County 4-H agent in Monmouth County, and this is, I don't want to call it my baby, but this is a program that I've developed kind of from the ground up. And I'm so privileged to be joined by my friend and colleague, Lisa. And Lisa, do you mind unmuting yourself and maybe just saying a little bit about who you are and what you do?
Hello, everyone. Welcome. I'm Lisa Rothenberger. I'm the Somerset County 4-H agent, and I focus in on a lot of STEM programs and youth empowerment programs. And this is a passion of mine from a long time ago. So when Matt offered me this opportunity, I jumped on board. Like that little fun there?
No, I like that.
And I'm glad that you're all taking an interest in this. I think it's a fantastic opportunity for our youth members and just a chance for them to experience something they might never have again.
All right. Thank you, Lisa. And we're going to talk about this here in just a little bit. Well, yeah, I'll dive into this, and then we do have another special guest that I want to introduce here shortly. But the S.H.A.R.K program, I want to give you a broad overview of the program itself and some of the key dates and deadlines that are coming up. So if you're here live tonight, it is January 26th. If you're watching the recording, it's we're in the future now. But anyway, so we're having our information session here tonight. After tonight, applications will be sent out. So if this is something after hearing what this program is about, if you're interested in applying for it, we will start sending applications out starting tomorrow. The applications are due February 22nd with a deposit of $400. And it's non-refundable. And let me explain that just a little bit here. So that $400 is what we use to purchase the flights. Very obviously, we're in New Jersey. The program, the in-person portion of this program takes place in Biscayne Bay. We need to get down there, and we get down there flying, and we need to buy those tickets. And so we use the deposit to purchase those tickets. If you are not accepted into the program, I can either return the check to you or I can shred it here in-house. But that $400 deposit with your application is what is put towards the airfare. And then I have no idea at this point what the cost of a ticket is going to be. Any remaining balance from that, so let's just, in an imaginary world, let's just say it's $350. Well, then that remaining $50 will be put towards the remaining balance of the program fees. And we'll explain more about the budget here in just a little bit. So applications will be due February 22nd. On March 1st, notifications will be sent to applicants indicating whether or not they've been accepted to the program or not. On March 16th, that is not only our first virtual meeting together, will also be the date of the first payment due, which is going to be $700, which is at this point, you know if you're in the program or not, so that will also be non-refundable. April 13th is when the final payment is due, and because of the variability of what our budget might be, and again, I'm going to get a breakdown of the expenses here in just a little bit, I can't give you an exact number of what that remaining balance will be, but I'll explain the whys of that here in just a little bit. And then our Zoom meetings, we will be meeting once a week starting March 16th. Those are Thursdays. So March 16th, March 23rd, March 30th, April 6th, and April 13th, we'll be meeting virtually, and it's for two main reasons. The one is actually just to kind of get our participants a greater understanding of some of the work that they're going to be doing down in Florida. So we have actually got some people from down in Florida, Field School, which I'll explain more about Field School here in just a little bit. Some of their interns will join us and talk about such topics as S.H.A.R.K workups, Life on a Research Vessel, some of the ongoing research taking place down there. But the big reason why, this is actually based on the feedback from our participants in the program last year. And again, our last iteration was a very unique iteration because these young people actually had signed on for this thing really in many respects late 2019, but they weren't actually able to do it because of circumstances beyond any of our control until summer of 2022. The feedback I received from our participants in the last iteration is we wanted to get to know each other better in state before we were down in Florida. So part of in addition to the lessons we'll be learning from our presenters, we're also going to provide our participants an opportunity to get to know each other before they're on the research vessel. The field experience is going to take place April 21st through the 24th. And again, that's down in Biscayne Bay, Florida. And then after the experience, at a date to be determined, because at this point we're talking, well, let's speak candidly here. After April, we're into May, June, July, August. It's fair season. So at some point to be determined on a date that's going to ideally work best for our participants, myself and Lisa, we will have a reunion. We'll get back together and we'll showcase our data jams. And again, I'm going to talk more about data jams here in a little bit. But I already explained a little bit about the non-refundability of some of the costs associated with this. And again, I'll speak more about the budget here in just a little bit. And then I've double asterisked a couple key dates of our Zoom sessions, the very first session and the very last session. Parents are strongly encouraged to participate in those just so they can both get a sense of what this program's about, and then also any of those final pre-departure bits of information that we might need. And I am looking at the chat here, and I see someone wrote to me that people attend but not need to have a flight purchase. We all travel together. So part of the program is we are all flying down together. So if they already have a way to get to Florida, there's too many variables in play, and maybe that's a conversation we're gonna have more thoughtfully offline. But the program is predicated on we're a team. We leave New Jersey together and we get to Florida together, and then while there, then we all come back together as well. So let's see here. So the data jams that I've been talking about, it's kind of an esoteric question. Why are we here? Well, why are any of us here? But specifically for the S.H.A.R.K program, we want our students to wrap their heads around what is it that they hope to gain from this experience. So throughout our virtual Zoom meetings and the field experience portion of this, our 4-H youth participants are expected to gather data, information, resources, and put together a data jam reflecting their knowledge gained. In data jams, it's very open-ended. It's really up to the interpretation of the 4-H youth participants of how they want to take whatever knowledge was most meaningful to them and how they want to share that information to others. And it could be anything from a mini research paper, a YouTube video, a PowerPoint presentation, a Zoom program, a map, an artifact, a community service project, or ideas that are not presented here. Throughout the virtual meetings, the 4-Hers should think about what they're planning to do and how they are planning to do it. The idea is that during the field experience portion of the program, they can then work with the scientists to develop their ideas and presentation side by side with those individuals. And data jams, don't be what's the word I'm looking for here? Overwhelmed by the concept of it. It's one of those things that we have a greater, we'll gain a greater understanding of what a data jam is and what our expectations are about that in the actual program itself. So as I shared earlier, the budget breakdown. So there's a lot of different numbers on your screen. Please don't be intimidated by them. We've got, it's broken down by, based on the number of youth, and then some of the fixed costs and some of the variable costs. So right here, right now, I don't know what the flight is going to cost. It's kind of it's a guess at this point. I put down 400 as just a placeholder. Same with some of those miscellaneous costs. Those could include things such as t-shirts. A buff is something that the kids will wear around their necks to keep the sun off. Those will not exceed $50, but I want to make sure we just kind of wrap our heads around that it could go as high as $50. A fixed cost is the charter of the boat itself. We charter this boat, we charter this research vessel for our use. It's a fixed cost of $12,500. But I do want to share that is all inclusive. Included in the charter is all the food that the participants will be eating throughout the program fees, the lodging, because we actually live on the boat, we sleep on the boat, we work on the boat, equipment use, etc. There are no hidden fees, so it's not like we get down there and if you want to, I don't know, fin clip a shark, it's going to be $20. If you want to tag a shark, it's $50. It's nothing like that. It's a flat fixed fee. And while talking about food, they're very accommodating to allergies. So if you have specific dietary requests, they are very accommodating to that. The shuttle is another cost that I don't have an exact number for at this point, but we take a shuttle to get from the airport to the marina, and then from the marina back to the airport. And then the cost of chaperones for Lisa and I to go down there and make sure our 4-Hers have an outstanding experience. Those are spread across the participants. So though I put 6 down, the actual minimum number for us to be able to do this program, we need a minimum of 7 participants. And if we get 7 participants, the high-end projected anticipated cost of this program could be as high as $2,450. If we do get 10 4-Hers to commit to this, they go through the application process. It is a competitive process. We have all 10 of them slots filled. The costs are then $1,850, and that is without any external funds. I myself am going to be working to find some sort of external funding, some grant dollars. Many of you come from counties that have associations that support 4-H participation in programs like this, so you may be able to offset your own individual costs through that as well. But and these are also high-end projected costs. They could go down. I put in the high end of what a flight might be, a high end of what some of our miscellaneous activities might be. So there it is. The boat that this will actually be taking place on is Research Vessel Garvin. Oh, and actually, I'm sorry, I see a question in the chat. What if you know you can't be on every Zoom meeting? Thursday, 6 to 7 is time that your son has other commitments. Stephanie, let's have a conversation offline. The expectation is that we really do want them to get to know each other, but we'll have a conversation offline and see what we can't do to come to a resolution. I don't want anyone to be turned off the program right off the bat because they have something else in place. So let's have that conversation and see what we can't do to come to a good resolution there. So as I mentioned earlier, the program itself, the entirety of the program takes place on Research Vessel Garvin. You see it there out in open waters at night. It is docked in a marina. It is a it has 14 passenger berths. in 7 bunk rooms plus crew quarters. It's fully U.S. Coast Guard certified and inspected. It has a full galley and salon space, ideal for lectures, scientific lab space, for onboard analysis, custom fiberglass dive and research platform, a crane arm and winch for hauling and deploying scientific equipment, a dive compressor, and small inflatable tender that can be used as a chase boat or access shallower areas. And I see another question in the chat. Oh, you're very welcome, Stephanie. So this is where it takes place. This is the boat. We work very closely with instructors from a place called Field School. So these are the owners of the research vessel. I won't go down through and read every single one of these bios, but I will be sharing this presentation later. So if you want to thoughtfully review these, that's fine. But the executive director is Dr. Catherine McDonald. And then her team includes Dr. Julia Wester, Christian Pankow, Nick Nini, and Jake Jerome. And then there are also interns that work with them. These are graduate and undergraduate level students that work to further their own studies and will work with our 4-Hers. But this is like the core team right here. So the field experience itself. So what I'm gonna do is, before I advance any slides, Claire, are you still here, Claire?
Yeah,
hi, Claire.
I'm still here. Hi.
How are you?
I'm good. How are you?
Very good, very good. So Claire is actually one of our participants from our 2020, well, technically the 2020 to 2022 program. And I've asked her to be here tonight to just kind of share some of her experiences. So Claire, before I jump into the pictures, do you want to, and I'll stop sharing just for a moment so we can see you easier. Do you mind sharing what some of your experiences were like a overview of the program?
Okay. Oh, so wait, do you want me to just give like a full summary of everything? Because I don't want to like spoil anything for them,
well,
you know.
I got a lot of pictures, so go ahead.
Okay. So it was kind of crazy getting up at like 3 a.m. to get this 5 a.m. flight, and then we get into Florida and it's really hot and humid, but you know, we're having a good time. We're all really excited to be there, and we get to the boat. We meet the crew, they're all very nice, and you know, we get to our bunks and we're like, oh my gosh, this is really small. But it ended up being fine. The first night everybody like hit their heads on the ceiling above them. But it was good. And so the first day we get there and we went out and we did seine netting, and that's where we caught a whole bunch of like small creatures, like, oh gosh, we got scorpion fish and a whole bunch of really cool stuff. And we, you know, capture them, take measurements, and then release them again. And like we found a sea urchin. It was just really cool. And then the next day we actually went out on the boat to go catch sharks or tag sharks. And we used drum lining, which you'll learn about. And our first day we were out there for, I don't know, like 4 or 6 hours or something, all pumped up, and we caught one shark the entire day. But we got some one shark, and we were all very happy with that one shark, which we named Oscar. We ended up naming all the sharks we caught.
but Claire, how many sharks did you catch the second day?
The second day we got like 10 or 11, I would say. And then the third day was even better, honestly. But yeah, that was fun. Not
to interrupt your story here, but the thing of it is, it is essentially fishing. And if any of you have ever gone fishing before, sometimes you have a lot of catch, and then sometimes you don't have a lot of catch. But even when there wasn't a lot of catch, so like that first day, would you say it was still like how would you rate it? A thumbs up or a thumbs down?
Sorry, I'd still give it a thumbs up because we had a good time and we got that one shark, and that's still really cool to see, you know. And we got to hang out in the sun on the water, and that was just fun.
Right.
The second day, yeah, so it was a thumbs up. And second day we got a whole bunch more. That was just really fun. And it was crazy. There's so much stuff going on. We're taking data, we're doing measurements, sing clips and tagging and all this different stuff. And everybody like switches around, so you get to try everything. And yeah, so everybody has assigned jobs. It's just fun. It's a really great environment. And yeah.
And do you remember that last day? Do you remember what time you had to wake up that last day?
The last day we had to wake up at 4 a.m. and
which seems ridiculous, but it's for what we call the pre-dawn line set, which is exactly what it says. It means that we get the boat out there before dawn and we set the line, which, I mean, Well, what are your thoughts on how that went, Claire?
Oh, I think we did a lot better that day too. And it was just nice, like going out before it got really sunny and hot too. But yeah, that was just really fun.
And part of the reason for that is too, and I know parents and participants, you might be listening to Claire and say like, wait a second, they wake up so early to wake up to travel, and then they wake up so early that last day. Well, we want them to get the most out of this experience. So part of the reason that we left, so which Claire didn't mention, they actually left July 5th, which means that they were, rah rah America and the fireworks. They probably had a late night on July 4th. Got up super early July 5th, but then also for that last day, the pre-dawn line set is again, so we can get the most out of this, the most, I don't know, bang for our buck. But I don't know, Claire, do you think it was, how do I want to say this? Did you feel like you couldn't do it, or did you feel like you could do it?
I definitely could do it. And
Okay.
it was definitely worth it. So
Awesome. Awesome. And I am going to start showing some pictures, but before I do, and I might put you on the spot for some of these pictures, especially towards the end. Do you have any other final thoughts before I start sharing some of the field experience pictures?
I don't know. I just think it's a really great program and it's a great opportunity. That's
Thank you
pretty much
so
it.
much. And
Yeah.
and we actually did not rehearse this, Claire, did we? I put a call out there. I just basically said, hey, is anyone interested? And Claire took me up on it. So thank you so much for that, Claire.
Yeah, of course.
All right, so I'm going to go back to sharing the slides, and I'm going to move kind of quick because I do see we're at about our halfway point, and I still want to make sure I have plenty of time for questions. So our field experience. Now, some of these pictures are actually from an iteration before Claire went. So Claire, you're not going to recognize some of these faces at first, but you might recognize some of the things that they're doing. So throughout the duration of the field portion, so when we're actually down there in Biscayne Bay, safety procedures are reviewed time and time again. So here we have two of the field school staff, Jake and Christian. They go over some of the protocols with 4-H members as RV Garvin takes them to their first experience out on open waters. Hey, shark on! So we see here this black tip shark, which Jake is working with 4-H member Jack to take a fork length measurement. So for each shark, 4-Hers take 3 measurements of length. One is the pre-caudal length, which is right before the tail, the fork length, which is what you see on your screen right there, and then the stretched total length, which is the measurement from the very tip to the tail. And one thing I want to point out too, you'll see this in the pictures, and both Lisa and Claire will back me up on this. Our 4-Hers, I mean, it's an incredible experience to get so close up to a shark. They do almost everything except for anything on the bitey, chompy side of the shark. That end of the shark is for the field school professionals, not for our 4-Hers. Well, thumbs up, Lisa, Claire, right? Yes, that's right. All right, so we have Madison here taking a fork length measurement of a black tip shark every once in a while. So you saw actually previously, some of our sharks were able to put up on our on the boat. They'll do the workups there just like this. Some of the sharks are so big, we actually have to lower what's called the boot, and they'll do some of their workups there on the boot. Scientists and interns at field school absolutely love being able to spend time with future marine scientists such as Madison here. And I do see the chat. We have there's a question asked, can college credits be earned with this or any other trips or courses? Not through 4-H. We do not offer any college course credits with this. No, but that's a great question. Thank you for asking. Let's see here. So we have Logan here that's taking a quick fin clip. So the 3 major things of the workups that our 4-Hers do are the measurements, which you just previously saw. We do fin clips, which they'll do some genetic test on. And we'll also do tagging, which I know I've got some pictures coming up here in just a little bit. Oh, well, actually, we got a tag right here. So we have Marissa taking a small fin clip sample of to be used again for some of their genetic testing. So she's actually not tagging, she's fin clipping. Here we got a tagging. So this is Logan. He's inserting one of the ID tags into a black tip shark. We got Hudson doing another tag. This is a small tag. And then the first day Claire alluded to, we actually, because it's a travel day, we're probably not going to take the boat onto open waters that first day. So what we do is, there's things more than just the sharks. And so on that first day, we get them out to area of Biscayne Bay that's within walking distance. And we have our 4-H members do some seining. So here we see them pulling a seine net through a highly human impacted area as part of the research into some of the biodiversity in this particular habitat. Our 4-H participants can practice snorkeling skills with the field school staff, and being comfortable in the water is a helpful skill if they're looking to pursue a career in marine biology, marine science. So Claire alluded to it earlier, and I'm not going to do such a deep discussion into it here tonight, but there are different types of lines that we'll do. There's long lines, and this is what we see right here is a long line deployment. With the long lines, you're going to get potentially more sharks, but they're going to be smaller sharks. So we see them doing that right here, in between pull-ups, between our setting of the bait. Some of their interns will go and maximize the learning opportunities. So we see here one of their interns, her name's also Marissa. She's sharing her research using a BRUV, which is a baited remote underwater video, which is a rig to collect data about fish and shark communities. Again, there's no such thing as idle time. Here we got Catherine answering questions during preparation for deploying a long line set. And there's just so many different teachable moments. So here we see Dr. McDonald sharing with the 4-Hers some sargassum that they found floating around into the waters. The lessons are reinforced. So between line sets and at the end of the day, before lights are out, students are given lessons using some of the most recent research, and that's put into context of the activities that our 4-H members are doing throughout their field experience. Our 4-Hers also actively participate in collecting data. If it's not written down, it didn't happen. So our 4-Hers are actually, in addition to reporting out what the data is, they're also the ones that are actively recording this data, which is being used in real life scientific publications and journals. Students get a chance to head up to the pilot house in small groups to learn about the operation of the research vessel. And if they're interested, they can also take tours of the engine room below decks. Though given the nature of field work and thus there is a zero promise that we can make or zero guarantee, there are opportunities for unforgettable moments and experiences. So here we see the field school team work to release a beautiful and endangered scalloped hammerhead after an extra quick workup. You heard Claire talk about it. It's a tradition that the last morning of the field course, students wake up early to set a pre-dawn line set. Despite the early hour, everyone's really cheerful and they're alert for the gear being set before 7. And I mean, you can see the sunrise on that particular morning was just gorgeous. It's an emotional morning after some intense experiences. The field school staff, 4-H members, and us 4-H chaperones, we've become part of a team. We've learned things in addition to the hard science, including valuable lessons in teamwork and coming together as a group. And we see Logan and Jake here working together to deploy some of those long line sets. So now we're back. Actually, this is our iteration. This is the group that went this summer. So I'm actually, Claire, if you don't mind unmuting yourself, do you remember what might be going on here? It's been a while.
So yeah, I don't know the specifics of the picture, but probably we're looking at a shark that's been put out on the boot. So the platform that's on the side of the boat, because it's not big enough to bring, small enough to bring on the boat. Probably nurse shark or one of the rays that we caught, and we're just watching them do the workup or bringing them onto the boot itself.
So I think you're 100% right. I'm looking in my lower right hand of my screen here. I see Jess, Zelda, and I think Scout, and it looks like they're figuring out, okay, who's tagging, who's fin clipping, who's measuring. And I see, so everyone's got a job. Everyone is, and when we hear the word shark on, that's when you have that conversation to figure out who's going to be responsible for what. Lisa, any other thoughts before I advance? Nope. All right, good enough. Put you on the spot again, Claire. Do you know what we see here?
Sorry, we're probably taking the pre-caudal leg, I think.
Do you remember what species of shark this might be?
Oh, that's a nurse shark.
Very good, very good. Yep, and I think you're right. You're definitely taking a measurement. What the specific measurement is, I can't tell just from the picture alone. But I mean, just to kind of illustrate to everyone on our Zoom session, our Zoom call here tonight, this is how close these 4-Hers get. We have Tyler, he's doing another measurement. Put you on the spot again, Claire. You know what species of shark that might be?
Looks like a bonnethead.
I think you're probably right. And I can't quite make out the picture. Maybe it's Zelda is doing data there in the background. Might be Morgan too. It's hard to make out. Yeah. We got Scout, looks like she's doing a fin clip of a nurse shark on the boot. There's Josie, that's a baby bonnethead there. it looks like she's doing a fin clip on. This picture I think is really cool. So you heard I was sharing some of the feedback from our participants of our summer program here. They're actually taking an ultrasound of a pregnant bonnet head. So you can see they got it's kind of hard to make out, but you can see the display screen and our 4-Hers, and there's Lisa there too, checking out the pups that this pregnant bonnet head has. Doing some more workup. So that's Jess, looks like she's doing a measurements. Hey, who's that? There's Claire. Do you remember what you're doing there, Claire?
I'm taking the full length of Nurse.Shark.
How did the shark feel?
I think the Nurse.Sharks, they felt kind of like gravelly, almost like sandpaper.
Sure. Do you remember any of the other sharks?
I remember the baby bonnet heads were really smooth, and otherwise not really. The rays were like slimy. So
That's right. We did actually. Good point. And I think I might have a picture of that coming up. We did catch a couple of rays too. Tyler is tagging, looks like a bonnet head there. This is one of my favorite pictures. I like this. So this is, well, it looks like we're learning about data collection here because I see all the M&Ms, but this is the galley. This is like kind of the hangout place. Again, any thoughts about the galley or some of the things you and the other 4-Hers were doing, Claire, in between sets?
Well, usually we'd go in there to hang out, maybe eat a meal. We'd play games afterwards. I forget what this one game was called, but it was like this tradition that we played. And
Oh,
then
golly gee whiz. Super fight,
yep,
super fight.
super fight,
Yep.
yep. And then some of the marine biologists on the boats would give presentations.
Yep. Yeah, it's tight quarters, but I mean, at no point and I don't want to put words in your mouth or in Elisa's mouth, tight quarters, but I never felt crowded. I don't know about you. No. All right. And then after, so it got done. We're back in New Jersey. We kind of went our separate ways. And because when we did our program, it was in the middle of summer. So we had our county fairs, we had our camps. In October, we all got together and we shared our data jam. So it was like a reunion. We did our data jams and we met on campus. We met at Rutgers University and we actually got a behind the scenes tour of their glider lab. And that's a picture of us with one of their submersible robots right there. So that's the program. These are some things I can't guarantee. And again, just the nature of field work, there are no promises, there are no guarantees, but these are actual pictures that have been taken, if not specifically in our 4-H programs, these are pictures that have taken place down where we are going. So we may see dolphins from time to time swim across next to the boat. There may be manatees in the marina. This is a critically endangered sawfish that they once worked up. Unfortunately, it wasn't with 4-Hers, but it was fortunate that they were able to just be a part of this. And that is something that we could potentially have our 4-Hers be a part of because it's in those same waters that we will be at. And then we might get some really big shark, like this giant hammerhead that you see here that the crew is working on. Not any 4-Hers on this particular one. And then just some of the feedback. I mean, this is the field school. They have their own Instagram. This is from a couple years ago now at this point, and they just say how they wrapped up this amazing experience. And then these were some of the parents that chimed in. This one parent said, our kids had an amazing time. Thank you. They've been talking about the awesome stuff they did and how cool you guys were. Hudson continues to rave about the hands-on experience, the potted dolphins, the delicious meals on the boats. Thank for the memories. Beautiful photo. So a few more notes before I wrap up my formal presentation and open up to some of the more casual questions. So the field experience portion of New Jersey 4-H S.H.A.R.K includes in-depth instruction and hands-on research experience. 4-H youth members actively participate in S.H.A.R.K workup procedures, data and morphological measurement collection, techniques for minimizing S.H.A.R.K capture stress, experimental design, and a variety of common fishing methods. Courses are taught by credentialed, experienced field scientists, and all work contributes to ongoing research projects. And I think this is important to note because this is not the most inexpensive thing we offer in 4-H. I will acknowledge that. This is not a cheap, this is not an inexpensive program to participate in. Field School offers this program to 4-H at a reduced rate. So for a comparable program for their typical audience, which again, we are not a typical audience. This is, as far as I've been able to find, this is the only type of experience that's being provided to youth of this age. Their normal demographic, their normal students are graduate students or undergrad. And the daily rate is about $364.28 a day. For the New Jersey 4-H-A.R.K program, the rate is almost a little over $100 less, $260.41 a day. And that's based on 12 4-H members and 2 adult chaperones. So again, we started it with these words. We're going to wrap it up with these words. If it was too long, you didn't read. 4-H New Jersey S.H.A.R.K, it's 5 weeks of Zoom meetings, 4 days of field experience. The cost may be up to $2,000 per participant, but the memories will last a lifetime. So next steps, you're interested. And I need to update that apply by dates. But the next steps, reach out to me if you have any questions. You can also do your own independent research. If you want to see what this field school is about, see who these people are, you can go to their website, getintothefield.com. That date is incorrect. I should have updated that. It's not March 1st. It's actually February 22nd is when our applications are due with that $400 deposit. That's on a Wednesday. And we will need a minimum of 7 4-H youth members to participate. So I'm going to stop sharing my screen, and I'm just going to leave this open for questions. So if you have any questions, I've addressed some that have been in the chat. If you have other questions that weren't covered here tonight, feel free. You can either unmute yourself, you can write it in the chat, you can raise your hand. So I'll stop talking. Any questions?
Hi, Matt. It's Michelle.
Hi, Michelle.
What does the application look like, and what should a young person think about adding in their application to make it stand out?
Yeah, that's a good question. So the applications, in fact, if you're interested in the application, all of you at this point, you have my email address. You can shoot me an email, Matt, we want to apply, and I'll send you out the application. The application, no, there's probably a more scientific way for me to phrase this. It's a blind application. What I mean by that is there are 5 essay questions. We want the students to answer the 5 questions, but we don't necessarily want them to tell us who it is. We want the applications to be reflective of the student, but not us necessarily knowing who the student is. There's another part that has that more like, you know, who it is and what county program they're in and all that other stuff. But there's 5 essay questions, and we're really trying to get a sense of the youth. We're trying to get a sense of what their 4-H experiences have been like, what they would potentially get out of a program like this, and what they're hoping to do with their gained experience. And it's a very important distinction for me, and I believe for Lisa as well, and I think Claire would back me up on this. This is not a trip. Yes, we're going to Florida, but this is a program. So we're learning from this, and what are the youth members planning to take from this program to apply into their future goals. And even if they're not planning to be a marine scientist, and part of the reason we have this field experience component to it is maybe they're not interested in pursuing like an academic marine science future, but there are other ways to get involved in this type of work that might not necessarily be on that trajectory. So I just said a lot of different words there, Michelle. Did I answer your question, or does it invite more?
So to summarize, there is a standard application, and then you are asking 5, you said essay, and for young people, an essay usually means 5 paragraphs. Is that 25 paragraphs for a whole paper?
No, it's like a paragraph. In fact, I can't remember off the top of my head. They're limited. I think
I know their school rubrics say like an essay is 5 paragraphs, so that's why I asked.
No, it's and I have it on. I don't have the essay. I don't have the excuse me. I don't have the application right in front of me right now.
You will be reviewing blindly, so you don't know who each individual is, so that you can make a holistic group and make sure that there is good synergy between the people attending.
Well, not yes and no. I mean, we want to make sure that we're getting youth that are participating in this program that will get the most out of this program.
Okay.
Yep. Great question. Thank you for asking.
And are there any references required as well?
No.
Okay. Thank you.
Yeah, thank you.
Oh, I do have another question.
That's fine.
because this is a school day or days, will the 4-H office be supplying a letter for schools for the absences that will incur?
Absolutely. In fact, what we'll do is we have those Zoom meetings leading up to the program. That's one of the questions that I'll ask our participants, is that they need a letter to go to their school, to their administrator, to their teacher, to whoever. And yeah, we provide that. And that's a great question. We specifically put it in so it minimizes the amount of time kept out of class as much as possible. So it's a Friday and a Monday that they will be missing school.
And I think I have one other question. Is
That's
there,
fine.
I'm assuming it's going to come at some point, but is there like some things that people would need to purchase or buy externally to bring on the trip that maybe they normally wouldn't have at home? Just to sort of think about, because that's an added expense for some people. And
that's a really good question. And I might invite Lisa and or Claire to contribute. There is a suggested recommended list of things to pack. Everything, because it's a research vessel, space is at a premium. Everyone brings carry-on. So it's whatever you can fit in your backpack. And off the top of my head, I mean, there's no specific like specialized equipment that they would need. The things that I suggest packing, swimwear, so like shorts, sneakers to wear on the boat, a towel to dry off. Lisa, Claire, I mean, sunblock, very, very, very cheap, inexpensive sunglasses, because her plunk, the ocean's unforgiving. So Lisa, Claire, what am I forgetting or not thinking of?
I mean, nothing really out of the ordinary, just like stuff you'd maybe like bring to like hot weather beach areas, you know, because you're going to be in the sun for a long time. So like hats and, you know, clothes that maybe cover your arms and stuff like that.
We do bring it. Thank you, Claire. We do bring like a community checked luggage. So if there's like a specific type of, I don't even know, sunblock. So there's like a, you know, the liquid. And we do bring a lot of sunblock. And Claire, it wasn't just you specifically, but every kid, there were like two things I said all the time. Do you remember what those two things were?
Put on sunscreen and drink water.
Yeah, put on sunscreen and drink lots of water. Hydrate or dehydrate. So,
yep.
And Lisa, I don't know, is there any specific type of?
I'm not thinking of anything specific. No, I think everybody would have this sort of stuff. I mean, we live in New Jersey. We're by a beach, we're by water, you know what the sun's like. Just know it's hot and you're closer to the equator. You know, make sure you have travel size toiletries because you're doing a check-on bag. Toothbrush, toothpaste, deodorant, highly recommend those three.
Great questions. And thank you, Claire. Thank you, Lisa. Are there any other questions? And even if you can't think of it tonight, I think, and I'll put it in the chat too, just even though I think you all have it at this point. Let's see here. You can feel free to email me. Otherwise, the next steps again is applying to the program if this is something that you're interested in pursuing. And actually, as I start to wrap up, Claire, is there any final things that you want to share with them based on your experiences?
I don't know. I guess nothing that I really hadn't covered before. It's so much fun. Like, I really recommend it. It's a great opportunity. And just be prepared to wear like 10 layers of sunscreen every day, you know?
Well, they are going at a slightly different time than you too. I mean, and I'm not going to take anything for granted, but yeah, you were there in July and they're going in April, so it might not be quite as oppressive. Adriana, that's a great question. Seasickness. Lisa, Claire, any thoughts on seasickness?
So none of our group got seasickness. You don't really, I mean, Claire can correct me, but I didn't feel like we were rocking a lot or doing any of that. You're docked at night, so it's when you're sleeping, you're just feeling that gentle motion. And during the day, you're awake. You're on the boat. You're on the top, so you can see everything. I suppose if you get sick,
don't take for granted though that we are all different. We all of us have different
Yeah.
responses and reactions to things. Because we do work so closely with people who spend, I mean, gosh, they spent their lives, if not, their professional careers doing this. They've got strategies in place. They know what works, what doesn't work, either get some fresh air or, but we don't want to pretend like, oh, it won't happen. It could happen and we would respond to it accordingly. I don't know, Claire, again, not to keep putting you on the spot, but I appreciate the youth perspective. Any thoughts?
Seasickness, I brought like the pills that you can get at CVS for it. I didn't end up using them. I've never really had a problem with that, but it was just kind of like a precaution. And like Lisa said, in the marina, it's very calm. And so you don't really feel it. And then we were only out in the bay, not really open ocean. So it wasn't really that bad.
But I will say sorry, Adriana, go ahead.
Actually, this is her mom right now. You can go first.
I was just going to say the crew does address that when they first meet with us, and they talk about if you're not feeling well, to come find one of them and they'll help you find. Sometimes there's different places on the ship that you feel a little better, like above versus underneath and that kind of stuff.
Great, thanks. What about like how far offshore are you guys?
We never go so far out. I mean, we see the Miami skyline the entirety of the time. I couldn't give you any miles or nautical miles, but we're never out into we're never out into the deep blue sea. And also too, I mean, the deepest point I think the boat goes out to, and I'm not trying to suggest that it's still not deep, but I don't know if we're ever out in any more than 10 to 15 feet of water. I mean, it's really, it's deep enough that we get some pretty cool looking sharks, but we're never so far out that we don't go that far out. And again, I don't want to, any number I make up here tonight would be a made up number, but we are very close to the city of Miami. That never leaves our sights. And again, Lisa, any thoughts on that?
I was actually surprised that we weren't out deeper. I like when I first heard about the trip, I thought we were out in the middle of the ocean. Waves, you're not. As Claire said, we actually stayed on the bay side, and I was surprised at what we saw in only 15 feet of water.
Yeah.
So you do feel pretty safe that way. Matt, there are a couple other questions, by the way. I don't mean to not, I just didn't know if you had seen the chat box.
No,
There's a couple other
I had
questions.
not. Well, I think I was addressing some of them as we were going through the night. Yeah. So, but that's a great question, Adriana, or Adriana's mom. Thank you.
But I see one about insurance.
Oh, I guess I missed that.
Insurance and safety. And will parents have a way to connect or call you in on the ship?
Must have been sent to you in a private message. Insurance, well, here, let's do the easy one. Our kids are all invited to bring their cell phones. If they have a cell phone, they can bring them. We do, however, say that phones are not allowed on the boat during workups or when we're out in the water. They can access their phones anytime they go into the boat in their bunks. We're never so far out that we're out of cell phone reception. And there's two big reasons why we don't want cell phones on the dock, or excuse me, on the boat when we're out in open waters. Number one, kerplunk. The ocean, again, like with expensive sunglasses, the ocean's very unforgiving to phones. We don't want our kids to lose them, but then also too, we don't want our kids distracted, not only for primarily their safety, but also for the safety of the animals that we're working with. We don't want our kids otherwise distracted or not engaged in the actual activities that are taking place. In terms of insurance, there is no there's no other than just the general 4-H one. There's no program specific one for this program. No.
Hey, Matt.
Yeah.
This is Jeanette. If they can't have their phones, can they bring like a disposable camera for pictures that they could take there?
Well, so
I saw you had pictures. Is that part of your job?
Yeah, yes, they can bring a disposable camera if they want. They have an actual dedicated photographer though. So all the pictures you saw, which I think they're pretty cool pictures, they actually have a dedicated point person that are taking pictures of the kids for the kids. So though if they wanted to, they could bring a disposable camera, but it would still be the same rule that would apply to a phone, to a camera, because we really do want our kids focused on what they're doing and not distracted trying to, get a good selfie for Instagram.
Right, not on deck.
Right.
But they have access to the ones the photographer is taking at the end of the trip.
Yep. So what I'll do is they'll send me the pictures and then I send it out to all the parents. I'm gonna be honest with you, hopefully it'll be faster than it was the last iteration. There was a little bit of a delay, but it actually kind of worked out in our favor for the delay. They fit us in. They were actually, the crew was planning to, we went on the day after July 4th. They were planning their own personal vacations and time to hang out, but because we had finally gotten authorization from the university, they fit us in. And I only share that to share this, that it took us a little while to get the pictures back. I don't anticipate we're going to have that same delay for getting pictures back on this iteration of this program because, well, we're having these conversations now instead of like, oh, hey, we're going next week. So, but yes, they will have pictures. Yep.
Thank you.
Oh, you're very welcome. These are great questions. And I don't mean to rush things, but I actually have to jump on to my next 4-H program. I also, I do the World Food Prize with 4-Hers from all over New Jersey, and that starts in 3 minutes. So are there any other final questions that can be addressed here tonight? Otherwise, please feel free to shoot me an email. And also too, if you want an application, this is like, hey, this was a pretty cool program. I want a part of this. Send me an email and I'll send you the application. Lisa, any final thoughts?
One last quick question from the chat box. What happens if flights get canceled? And I don't know if you can answer that in 2 minutes or less.
Well, I mean, I'll tell you, that was actually, once we finally got the approval to go, and Lisa will back me up on this. I think even Claire, I think I was sharing with all the participants, it's like, there really is no plan B. There's so many variables in motion for this thing. It's when we got the boat that's available for it. That part of the reason why too we leave so early is to hopefully offset that so that we can actually, be the first one out of Newark, and then, fingers crossed, no cancellations, but we really don't. We have the boat charter for that specific 4-day period, and if we make it, great. If we don't, there really is not a plan B. But that is a bridge. The crew we work with on field school, they are extraordinarily accommodating, and we would do our best to try and figure out a reasonable resolution for everyone. And I don't know if that answers the question, but that is, knock on wood, a bridge we haven't had to cross at this point. So thank you. I do hate to do this. I know there's probably a million more questions. Please feel free to email me. Thank you all so much for being here tonight. I am going to stop recording. At least I think I am. Be well, everyone. And I hope to see all of you on Garvin here. Oh, before we go, Claire, any final thoughts?
No, just good luck to everybody who applies.
Fantastic.
Thank you for having me, Matt.
Oh, thanks for coming. It was great to have your perspective on this. So take care, everyone, and have a great night. So long.
Bye. Thank you.